What's going on? What's going on out there? Let's get some folks in here real quick. Get some folks in here real quick. While I get my pants up. So I said it's gonna be hot today, so I'm gonna wear these along with this belt and this shirt. I don't care. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I cannot believe what I heard this morning. Shout out to everybody that's here. Listen, I'm going live tonight at 7. You don't want to miss that live tonight. That live tonight is going to be crazy. Enough is enough, and I'm tired of playing with people. You know what I mean? Enough is enough, and I'm tired of playing with people. But from what I hear, right, and I kind of got upset because I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So I'm looking at last night, right, and I see how at 6 p.m. and between 6 and 7 p.m. They denied Rob bond. But around 10:30 last night, as I'm looking at it, around 10:30, people start saying that Diddy charges were dropped. Now, you know me. At first I was like, nah, yo, that can't be true. But then I was like, maybe it is true. So I seen Seti Nash, I seen Tisa Tales, and they was like, oh my God, and Tisa Tales going off. Oh my God, the charges are dropped, the charges are dropped. Well, I went into Pacer, right? And I do believe the date of the day is Wednesday, June the 25th. So I went into Pacer, and I see 421 and 422 for June the 24th, right? And I pull up 422. And I pulled up 421. So as I read 421 paperwork, right? And if they was going to drop anything, it would be on the docket, right? So as I read 421, and it's 12 pages. I'm not going to read all 12 pages. I'm going to give y'all the synopsis of it. It says, Dear Judge Submaranian, and it's coming from the Shapiro Arto Bach LLP, which is Diddy's attorney. It says United States versus Combs, Inc., 24 CR 542 AS. Now, hold on. The way they got this styled is totally different than the way they styled it against Robert Sylvester Kelly. And I'm going to point that out tomorrow, because tonight's live, it's about R. Kelly, but it's not about R. Kelly. It's mainly about me, Larry, and Levi, and Angie Walker. And I'm going to close the coffin on them 3 people today or tonight, okay? So I'm not even going to talk about them until tonight, because then I'm going to have my field day, I'm going to have my fun, and the Joker will be out tonight. I'm going to play that much, okay? So it says, we submit this letter in further support of our requested edits to the court's proposed jury charge, and to elaborate on some issues referenced in comment bubbles and our requested edits and objections to the government's red line edits. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to add a person. And JoJo as well. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close the coffin on them, because after today, it ain't gonna be nothing else to talk about. Trust and believe that. So A is California Penal Law Section 137A, Racketeering Act 3, right? And pretty much they talking about the interpretation of it, and they just saying that expressed doubt as to the correct interpretation of influence in 137 C31 California. Its conclusion was premised on its interpretation of a separate statute, California Penal Code section 136 and a half, which was later repealed in 1987, right? So B is the sex trafficking instructions generally. So they pretty much giving instructions about that. And like I say, I'm gonna break all this down to you tomorrow because today I ain't gonna have time to do it. Then it says, but I'm just gonna give you the brief synopsis. It says the government has separately charged attempt to violate the statute 18 USC 1594A, and the court proposes instructing accordingly. That is all that is needed, and the court should not suggest in a substantial charge that no commercial sex act is required to convict, right? So section 1591D, Racketeering Act 6, they're saying the court should not charge the jury on 18 USC 1591D because it is unconstitutional as written, and because including a charge on this provision would be a constructive amendment of the indictment in violation of the Fifth Amendment's grand jury clause. Then they got the grand jury clause there as well. That's a long one. Then D, voluntary intoxication. What were they saying about that? And the whole, it say to accommodate certain of the government's arguments. Docket 415 at 2 through 3. We have proposed further modifications to the involuntary intoxication instruction. E, forced labor under 18 USC 1589A, Racketeering Act 5. What is that saying? It says the defense requested modifications to the court's instruction is consistent with both SAN and the relevant case law. Leonard B. SAN case law, modern federal jury instructions, criminal case law, United States versus Dan case law. Then it says if someone is guilty of forced labor, if he intends to cause a person in his employ to believe that if she does not continue to work, she will suffer the type of serious harm that would compel someone in her circumstances to continue working to avoid that harm. And then they give a case law on that. Then it says there must be evidence from which the jury could find that the employer intended to cause the victim to believe that she would suffer serious harm if she did not continue to work. United States versus Callium case law. Okay. The next one is immunized witness instruction. And it says these are standard features of immunity orders, and yet courts nonetheless routinely give the sort of instruction Mr. Combs requests. There is no reason for the court to deviate from this standard practice. G is drug predicate instructions. That goes down and pretty much it says, so any evidence that drugs were passed between Mr. Combs and an alleged conspirator is insufficient in and or itself to establish a conspiracy to distribute drugs or possess them with intent to distribute, and the jury should not be misled into believing otherwise. Okay. H, implicit bias instruction. Pretty much they're saying, I strongly encourage you to evaluate the evidence carefully and to resist jumping to any conclusions based on personal likes or dislikes, generalizations, gut feelings, prejudice, sympathies, stereotypes, and biases. That right there is from Diddy camp to the judge. And that is document 421 that I was telling you about. 421 was submitted yesterday. Now let's look at 422. 422, the government submitted theirs, And pretty much the government is saying, dear Judge Submaranian, the government respectfully writes regarding its requested edits to the court's proposed jury instructions, right? Um, It says the government is no longer. Hold on, whoa. It says the government. It says the government understands the court's desire for streamlined instructions. With that in mind, the government has suggested ways to streamline those instructions. Specifically, the government has removed instructions from the charge relating to attempted kidnapping under both California and New York law. Two, double attempted arson under California law, and triple aiding and abetting sex trafficking. The government is no longer planning to proceed on these theories of liability, so instructions are no longer necessary. The government has also attempted to simplify the language relating to count one, a proposal, as explained in the government's commitment bubble. The government hopes not only serves the purposes of streamlining the instructions, but also will avoid any confusion as to the operative agreement for count one. Count one, sex trafficking and forced labor instructions. And I'm gonna give you the breakdown on that. They pretty much saying the government has listed the president or the precedent for each of the president for each of these instructions in its comments to the forced labor and sex trafficking sections of the request to charge. To avoid repeating that law and precedent here, the government limits the below largely to providing the government's reasons why, based on the particular facts and issues in this trial, these additional instructions are necessary, right? So they're keeping sex trafficking and forced labor. So what I get from that is they drop attempted kidnapping under both California and New York law, which is state. Two, attempted arson under California law, which is state. And three, aiding and abetting sex trafficking, which is state. But they picking up sex trafficking and forced labor federal. They're picking up, let's see, hold on. Payment not determinative, whatever that is, for sex trafficking. They're picking up cumulative conduct. They're picking up physical restraint. Then they went straight for sex trafficking. Defendant need not receive thing of value. Then they went to commercial sex act need not occur. Then they went to reckless disregard. Then they gone to conspiracy instruction. Then they went to effect on interstate and foreign commerce instructions. They got venue instructions. They got unanimity instructions. And I'm just going to read this a little bit. It says, count 2 and 4 proposed instruction. The government has argued that the defendant committed sex trafficking with respect to Cassandra Ventura for count 2 or Jane for count 4 over a year's long period. To find the defendant guilty of these counts, you must be unanimous that the government proved beyond a reasonable doubt all the elements of the charge with respect to at least one specific instance of sex trafficking within that period. As to that specific instance of sex trafficking, you must agree that all the elements were met beyond a reasonable doubt, but you need not agree as to the way in which the elements are satisfied or all the details of the instance. Counts 3 and 5 proposed instruction. The government has argued that the defendant violated federal laws regarding transportation to engage in prostitution with respect to Cassandra Ventura, amongst others, for count 3, and with respect to Jane, amongst others, for count 5, over a year's long period. To find the defendant guilty on all these counts, you must be unanimous that the government proved beyond a reasonable doubt all the elements of the charge with respect to at least one specific instance of transportation to engage in prostitution within that period. As to that specific instance of transportation to engage in prostitution, you must agree that all elements were met beyond a reasonable doubt, but you need not agree as to the way in which the elements were satisfied for all the details of the instance. To the extent that the court has questions about certain of these proposed edits, the government is available to answer these questions at tomorrow's conference. Respectfully submitted, Jay Clayton. So what's going on is pretty much they are dropping state charges, which can give the defense some leeway some kind of way, but they are picking up all federal charges, which means, and I'm not saying this is a definitive, but which means what I'm getting out of it is they looking for a long conviction when it comes to him. When it come to Diddy, they are looking for a long conviction. A long conviction. The question is and will be, will they be successful? Will they be successful on their long conviction? That's what the whole thing is. That's what it boiled down to. And boy, that's crazy. Because they trying to get him on all federal charges now. And the way they masking it is they taking it like, okay, Diddy, you're a monster. So this need to be done. 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 It's weird. It is very weird. But do I think Diddy is going to be found guilty? I do. I ain't going to lie to you. I do. Do I think he's guilty? I think he's guilty of some things, but some things, I think he's innocent on. Do I think he a monster? Yeah. I do. I think Diddy is just, yeah. I think Diddy's Diddy. He like what he like. But this is wild. Because it's like Tisha Tales is freaking out like, oh my God, they dropping charges. No, but they need to clarify that. You'll send people into panic. It's not they dropping charges, they dropping the state charges. And they picked up all federal charges, which is not good. Especially with Diddy not having a defense. He ain't calling no witnesses. They ain't do nothing. That's the first time I ever seen something like that happen. And that's scary to me. To me, that's scary. Wow. To me, that's absolutely scary. So I don't know. This is gonna look. This is gonna be interesting. This is gonna be wild. Let me see what y'all talking about here. Hey, good morning, everybody. If I didn't say hi back, that's because I was reading something. But good morning, everybody. Like I said, you don't want to miss my live this afternoon. It's going to be very informative. Some people some people got questions or had questions, and I'm going to answer all of them questions. I'm going to answer every question tonight. And when I finish tonight, I'm not going to leave no stones unturned. I'm going to be done with the detractors and the disorderlies and the backstabbers and the liars. I'm gonna be done with all that. The scammers. Like I say, I'm putting a nail in everybody's coffin today. On God. Some people gonna hate me. I don't care. Y'all hate me anyway. But I'm definitely bringing a joke out tonight. It's gonna be some fun. Because some things were said on the live that is absolutely not true. But that's what people make up in their head, so I don't know. We gonna have some fun though. We gonna have some fun. And when I say we gonna have some fun, I'm gonna let it all hang out. Just know it ain't my fault. Y'all poked the bear. Y'all should have just left me the hell alone. But since y'all poked, I'm gonna put it all out there. And if you're a fan of R. Kelly, you're gonna be mad. You're gonna be mad. Not at me, but at what I'm gonna put out there. It ain't my fault. Like I said, I ain't keeping nobody's secrets no more. With that being said, I'm up out of here. I gotta get ready for work. A place that some people say I don't have. But it's okay. I'm cool with all the liars saying this and saying that. I'm cool. Gemini, what's up? I'm cool. So, Vintage Dana's coming out tonight. It's gonna be bad. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's gonna be bad. And I just hope people can take it. I hope don't nobody go jumping off bridges and nothing like that. Oh my God. Nah, please don't go do that. Please don't go do that. I want everybody to be copacetic and understand that this have to be done. This have to be done. All right. So with that being said, I'm up out of here. Y'all have a good day. Dana J gone. Peace. Love every last one of y'all. Thank y'all for the likes. Violate me and hit the like going out. All right. 1.